Hi everyone, this is Marilee. I wanted to come on here today and just share with you a couple things that the Lord has showed me, how He views the organized church system today and how He delivered me from that. I was really involved in church. I was in leadership on the worship team. I went on mission trips and really anything you can think of that you would do in church, I did. And I thought all these things were glorifying to God, and I thought I was serving Him with my entire life. Yet when I actually came to know Him, He showed me it was all just for nothing. It was for my own glory. It was just a bunch of filthy rags, my works to Him that I thought I was doing in church. And when I was getting to know Jesus, I still had confusion on why we were being separated from the church, and I wasn't sure what was so wrong about church and being a part of it. So I asked for clarity and I prayed and was just pleading to the Lord that He would show me how He views the church. And one night I had a dream that the church system He views is as a whorehouse. And this was my dream. I met this man, a really mysterious man on the street, and he said, "I have a job for you." And I said, "Okay." And I followed him to this warehouse, and he showed me inside the main, like, seating area. And in the middle, there was an aisle that led to a stage that was decorated very beautifully. And all along the aisle, there were these chairs and tables that were seated in the dark. And it had paper and pens on it. Then all of a sudden, the room was full of people. There were all these people sitting in the dark, and I didn't know why they were in the dark, but anyway, all of a sudden, one whore at a time would walk down the aisle, do a little dance or a show, get up on the stage, do something that would try to attract the audience. And then, the next whore would come, and then the next one. And as each whore came down, you would see the people in the audience writing on their paper which whore they wanted to sleep with, which one they liked, and appease them. And this would be the whore that they would bid for and pay money to in order to be with it. The next scene was me as a whore being behind stage, and I was talking with these girls, and I was so convicted that what we were doing was so wrong, and we were going to be in really big trouble if we continued to stay doing as we were doing, appeasing people, sleeping around, just what we thought was good and just doing our job was just, I was feeling that it was evil and wrong. And I was trying to get them to come with me to leave, but there, in my dream, you knew that there was this certain expectation that you would be in really big trouble if you even tried to leave. There would be really big punishment. And I was trying to convince them to come with me to leave, but none of them really wanted to. They all just said that I was over exaggerating and that it wasn't a big deal, just to calm down, and that they wouldn't do it because they didn't want to get in trouble. But I was convinced that I needed to leave, so I got up and I started running down this empty floor, and I noticed that there was another girl running with me, and there were these men, maybe like 10 of them, chasing us, and they were trying to get us and bring us back into this whorehouse. And so I had to fight so hard against them. I had to punch and kick and squirm to try to get out of their grips. And I was noticing that this other girl was trying to fight hard too, but eventually she just gave up and let them drag her off back. And I had to fight and fight and fight until finally I was able to get out of this warehouse, and I was free. I was liberated, and that was the end of my dream. Now, what Jesus showed me is those that were in the audience in the dark there, writing on their pieces of paper, is the congregation, the people in the church. And they are wanting to tithe and give their money to the church that appeases them, says what they want to hear, and the church that they like. And they want to sit in the dark because they're full of sin and they don't want their sin to be exposed. And the whore that would walk down the aisle to the stage is the leadership of a church. And not just the pastors, but all the leadership that is involved in church. And they would do their little dance, sing their little song in order to attract the people in the audience so that they can get their money and that they would gain their popularity so that they could be the best whore. The danger about leaving the church that I felt is when you try to go against and preach against this worldly and sinful church system, people fight against you and they want you to continue to stay plugged into some kind of church system. But the problem is it's full of sin. And this is what Jesus has showed me, is that the church systems are full of sin, and they don't want to truly repent of all sin and live righteously for Jesus. They want to live for themselves, and they want to attend church and play church and give lip service to Jesus, but they don't want to offer their life as a full sacrifice to Jesus, being pleasing to him. And this takes a lot of work to do. And you have to be willing to give everything for Jesus. You have to be willing to pick up your cross. You have to be willing to deny yourself and carry all that for Jesus. That takes a lot of work. That's not a piece of cake. And the church system likes to just sit back and comfort each other in their sins, and that's wrong. We cannot okay sin. Sin is of the devil. If you sin, Jesus is not your father. The devil is your father. Jesus has nothing to do with sin. They say that you can find Jesus in church, but Jesus is not there, my friends, because Jesus has nothing to do with sin. He says, what fellowship does light have with darkness? None at all. And he also says that he is the vine and his true children are the branches. And if you are not his true child, you will be cut off from that vine and you will be thrown into the lake of fire. I know that I want to be pleasing to Jesus. And the biggest thing that he has convicted me of is if I want to be pleasing to all these people, to my family, to my friends, to whoever, I am not worthy of Jesus because I am putting them so far above Jesus. I'm so more afraid of what they would think or what they would do that I cannot focus only on Jesus. That's wrong. I want to be pleasing to Jesus, and I choose to give him my entire life. I cannot participate in sin and in the world's sin, and that's why I've been pulled out to be separate from that. And he does the same for all of his children. Those that truly follow him, he is pulling them out from the worldly sins, and you must be perfect and righteous before him. And it is possible. And if people tell you otherwise, they are liars. It is possible to be righteous to Jesus. Not to the world, but to Jesus. And that's really all that matters. I want to encourage those that have an ear to hear and they seem to know the truth, that if you want to follow Jesus, it's possible. It's difficult. You have to fight and kick and war against the flesh. You have to war against the spiritual. But Jesus will give you the strength to endure until the end. And I want to encourage those that see the sin and hypocrisy and wickedness in the church systems to stay away from it, because Jesus is not there. Jesus will be with those that are righteous to him, that are sinless in his sight, not the world's sight, but his sight. That is what matters. Jesus will not take a whore as a bride. He will not take A bride that has spots and stains on her dress, he will only take a pure bride. Only those that are blameless, righteous, and holy in his sight will enter heaven. No sinner will enter heaven. If you are still in sin, repent of all your sin, not just one particular sin, but all of your sin, and live for Jesus, pleasing and holy to him. I hope that this encourages some people, and I hope that this can wake some people up, and that they would truly get to know Jesus and start seeking him. While it is called today, get to know Jesus. He has given you the opportunity today. I love you guys, and may Jesus bless you.